2 of cool and warm colors, we worked out that the cools are blues and cool colors recede, they go backwards. And we worked out that the reds are warm and warm colors come forward. Now let's have a look at our color wheel. Now I've split our color wheel in half. So if we're looking clockwise, where the warm colors are, we have our cooler colors are from the red violet, which really should be more of a magenta. I should have made that a magenta, but I didn't. So from the magenta to the yellow, those are our warm colors. But within those, the farther that the red color gets to the blues, the cooler it's going to be. So that blue violet or a magenta is got blue properties, so it's going to be cooler. Now if we look at the cool colors, we have our greens all the way over to the purples. Having a look at the cool colors, the blue, the primary blue, which is a phthalo blue in this case, is the coolest. If you add some yellow, it's going to warm up. If you add some red, then it's also going to warm up. So trying to work out then what is warm in the cool scale between the greens and the purple, the best way is to do some samples. I want you to focus on the small squares in the middle of the big squares. Remember that warm colors come forward and cool colors recede. What square do you think is coming forward? I think the purple on the left-hand side is floating above that green, but some would say that the green is coming forward because it's brighter. So let's change the value. Let's make the purple bright now. So when you're looking at the purple being brighter in value than that green, that purple to me is definitely coming forward. So when I have the argument between what is warmer, purple wins. Purple is warmer. And it really is relative. So it depends on what you put a color next to. A green can look warm or a purple can look cool depending on what you put next to it as well. Now these colors are as close as I could get to a cool and a warm in my computer. There on the right hand side, it appears to me to be floating above that background. You may have a different experience. You might be saying the one on the left is coming forward, but that is because the actual value is lighter or brighter. So let's change the value on the two blues and see what happens. So when I'm looking at them now, does the little square on the right hand side now appear like it's coming forward more? It does for me, and this was the exercise that I did myself when I first started teaching, and people had colors that said on their tubes, this is the warm, this is the cool, and I thought, no, ultramarine, that's a cool color, and the phthalo, which is really bright, is a warm color. And I had to investigate it myself, so I did a whole pile of little color swatches, and I had to agree with whoever mixed the paint and put cool on the phthalo. That I agreed. In the end, that phthalo was the cool. So I hope that clears things up with the phthalo and the ultramarine. And do your own test to find out. Okay, I tried to get as close to a magenta on my computer as I could. So that is supposed to be a magenta and cadmium red. To me, the cadmium red is just popping off that page. No argument from me. That's the winner as the warmest. But because we have the values again where the magenta is darker, let's give the magenta a tint and see if that changes anything. Even with that tint, the cadmium red is still the warmest. It is still coming forward. So I don't think we have any questions there. Have a look at the yellow and the red. What small square do you think that is coming forward the most? It's pretty confusing because when I put a small white square on top of a black, the white is always going to come forward because it's the brightest, and the brightest thing comes forward. So looking at that, you could really argue which one is warm and which one is cool. To me, I feel like the red is actually warmer. And some people say that a yellow is more of a neutral color. So to me, I feel like the red is, but I'm happy if anyone wants to argue that point with me. So now let's go back and have a look at the painting that I created before. Have a look at my blue and my red paintings. They are what is considered monochromatic paintings. So mono means one and chromatic means color, I think, or something like that. So it means one color. So this is all blue, and black and white is a monochromatic, and red and black and white is a monochromatic painting. So you can challenge yourself with a more complicated subject matter than clouds to see what you can come up with. Yellow works especially well as you get a great range of greens when you add yellow with black. So you could mix some yellow and some black to make some sort of green, put a little bit more yellow into some areas, put a little bit more black into some of the areas, put some white into it. You'll have a whole pile of different tints, tones, and shades to work with. Now, what I'm going to do now with these paintings is I'm going to now turn them into analogous paintings. So analogous basically means the colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel. So it doesn't matter if they're all warm or all cool. You could have, moving into a little bit of cool into some warm, in like this. But because I am doing a warm and a cool painting, I am going to be just choosing the cools over here and the warms for over here. But it's not going to be monochromatic anymore because I'm going to have more than just one color. And they are going to sit next to each other. So you use this when you want to create a harmonious painting. So all your colors sit nicely and with each other, and nothing is too jarring for the viewer. So I really love using harmonious colors, and if you look through my work, you'll see that I use it quite often. And I also quite often use monochromatic schemes as well. Yeah, so the analogous colors are also called harmonious colors. So it's the same thing. So up here, in my blue painting, I'm going to start by adding some warmer ultramarine blue and maybe violet to my clouds. And then maybe some sort of greeny color down here in my sea. I've gotten out every blue that I have in my painting box, and I also got out a magenta so I can mix a nice purple with that ultramarine blue. Here's a close-up of my finished clouds in my blue painting, and now it's no longer a monochromatic but an analogous painting or harmonious painting, and you can see that that cool purple looks warm next to all those blues. And then with the red, looking at the red here, when I'm looking at it, it doesn't work well with my brain because my brain goes straight back to a sunset. And a sunset means that all the yellow would be down here because the sun would be going down, and all of that would be reflected in the clouds. So having dark clouds here and having a red sky just doesn't feel right. Like I look at it and I go, So I'm going to do that. I'm going to change that so I've got the light down there. So what I'm going to do for that is, because this is, I worked on this yesterday, so most of this is kind of dry, so I can kind of get rid of some of this dark here. I can even blend a little bit. I'm just using my sock. I can blend a little bit of that white into there. So rub away some of that dark, move my white down. Just makes it softer clouds as well. It's much different sort of feel than the one over here. The first stage that I did to my red painting, and I just added some, so it's not a monochromatic anymore, because now I've added some yellow into my red. So I've got a bit of magenta, a little bit of cadmium, and a little bit of yellow. Now I really like it just the way it is. So I am about to overwork my painting, and it doesn't matter because it's a demonstration, just so I can show you how to put in some warms and some cools into the clouds. So yeah, it's about to be overworked, but for a demonstration and to explain how cool colors go back and warm colors come forward, it's fine. Now you can see my finished painting, the red one, and I've gotten cooler in that background, and my clouds have got oranger and more yellow. They're a bit warmer. There's a little tiny bit of magenta outlining those clouds, which is cool. My paintings are now finished, and they're no longer just monochromatic. They now have harmonious colors. So either a harmonious warm scheme, color scheme, or a cool harmonious scheme with those blue colors. So the one thing is, if you use all one color, so all red, it might be a little too vivid for people to look at. And an all blue painting might be just a little bit too peaceful, maybe a little bit boring. So because of that, sometimes you want to just add one little touch of warmth from the warm side into a blue color, or just a little bit of cool to break down that vividness of the warm painting. So you can see that I did that here, just using my computer, just to give you the idea. So I hope that you've got a better understanding of warm colors and cool colors now, and how they work, and how you can manipulate mood, and how you can manipulate depth of things going forward and backwards, and it should help you make decisions when you're painting, and what colors to use, and why you're using a certain blue or why you're using a certain red. That's it for Warm and Cools. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.